My Lord, it's a privilege to follow the Noble Lord Devon on matters of climate change, and the way he's spoken with such passion and wisdom, I think, is an example of this House at its best. Climate change presents the greatest collective action problem of our age. Every nation, of course, would prefer others to act first, and that's why strong climate leadership matters. Hence, just as I found myself challenging the government for not doing enough earlier this afternoon in committee stage of the Financial Services Bill, so I want to commend these regulations tonight. Emissions from aviation and shipping have grown rapidly over the past 20 years. According to the Climate Change Committee, as the Noble Lord Devon has just said, the aviation emissions are projected to become the largest sector, I think, by 2040. Legislating to specifically incorporate these industries into carbon budgets is therefore, in my view, the fair and proportionate thing to do. My Lords, these regulations are not introducing new sector limits or altering targets, as the government have already said. They're fulfilling prior commitments set out in Carbon Budget 6, that's already been legislated for, and of course Carbon Budget 7. Embedding these commitments in legislation empowers the government to hold these industries to account for their emissions. It sets a clear example to other nations of our commitment to international climate goals. If we omit aviation and shipping from the budgets, that only weakens the credibility of our climate framework. It damages our position when it comes to international climate diplomacy, which is so important in this matter. Earlier today, when I was in the Grand Committee, one Noble Lord sought to persuade us, if I understand the argument, that because there are other nations with a worse record on combating climate change than us, it would be detrimental to our competitiveness with them, and therefore a mistake for us to take carbon emissions seriously. My Lord, Britain's role in the world should never be to seek to win some unsavoury race to the bottom. Turning to theology, if I may, most serious modern Christian theologians, including, as the Noble Lord Devon has just referred to, the Pope, have long discarded the old argument of dominion. At its least pernicious, this assumed humans could disregard our impact on the environment because God had given it us to exploit. At its worst, often found among ultra-conservatives in the USA, it positively encouraged exhausting the planet's resources in the belief that destroying our environment would hasten the return of Jesus Christ. Those views may be less often publicly stated now than 20 years ago, but I fear their malevolent presence still lurks behind some of the most vehement opposition to limiting carbon emissions. Yet, my Lords, we are not the planet's despotic overlords. We are a part of creation. We have a responsibility, as others have said, to pass on to future generations a world as beautiful as that which we inherited. We're already witnessing, as the Noble Baroness Jones of Moulscombe has reminded us, the effects of climate change through fluctuating weather patterns, pressures on food production, and more extreme climate events. As time goes on, it will be the most vulnerable, those experiencing poverty, as well as the generations after us, who will feel the effects most strongly. This lunchtime I was over at the Trussell Trust Food Bank in Hammersmith and Fulham for the launch of a much needed inquiry into the need for food banks, for which I'm a member of the panel. The rapid increase in prices of basic foodstuffs over recent times, so impacting on our poorest sisters and brothers, is a direct consequence of the increasing extreme weather climate change that we're already experiencing, and which last week many of us lived through. If you've been trying to take a service wearing fancy robes on Sunday in Manchester Cathedral, you'll be very much on my side. My Lords, the window for opportunity for action is quickly closing, but these regulations present an important step towards ensuring that every sector fairly plays its part in meeting our climate commitments, and so I commend them.